Hello everybody, this is Kat for Cats About Town, TVC 22 in Clarence, Rockland. We are here in one of our little villages of Clarence, Rockland called Saint-Pascal-Baylon, which has a beautiful history named after a saint from France or Belgium, I'm not sure. But we have some pretty unusual people and some pretty extraordinary things going on here. And today we have, I would call her probably one of the best representatives of everything that can be achieved when you put your heart to it and you have room to move and room to grow. And her name is Krista Simard. Krista,
hi.
It's a delight presenting you to the audience.
Thank you.
You are quite an amazing woman, and we are going to hopefully spend this interview telling people that really the sky's the limit.
It really is. It really is, Kat.
There we go. Now, Krista, you are, just as a brief by way of introduction, you are one of our municipal councillors.
Yes, I am.
In your first term.
Mm-hmm.
You are a mother of 4. Mm-hmm. You are a volunteer in the school, in this elementary school in our little village. And that's not all.
No. No, do you want me to?
I want you to talk about your story, yes.
I volunteer as well doing baptism preparations. I have a mini choir, as I call it, with children from the school, from our community, ages from, some of them actually start at 3 years old, all the way up until my oldest is 14. And I have some members of the community, and I call friends as well, that have helped me out throughout the years with this choir. So I do that as well. I'm a member of the Optimist Club, which again opened up another little horizon and meeting other new people. So yes, I do a lot of volunteer, and I think it's important for the communities. If you want them to grow, you need people to.
I think that volunteer work is very important.
Yes.
It's very important for a human being, and it's very important for the community because obviously that's what attracts people of like mind.
Yes, yes.
For a cause bigger than them.
Yeah.
Very often. You grew up in a large family, so you grew up with a sense of responsibility already.
Yes. Yes, I'm the oldest of 5 kids, so we were 7 at home. My parents, again, my mother was a stay-at-home mom, and she raised us quite nicely, I like to think.
Yes.
I have 2 brothers and the 2 youngest are 2 sisters. And we're all pretty close. I think we're a close family. We get-togethers are always fun.
I'll bet.
With that many people, it can be nothing but fun.
Well, it's fun, and it's also a lot of work. And I think this is what I'd really like to focus on. You are carrying a workload that a lot of people would consider incredibly daunting. And yet I see you always with a smile, and I see you always with a lot of energy. So
I try to. If I stop, I find that's where you get tired, and it's a good thing to keep moving, keep going forward. And I wanted to do something other than just be a stay-at-home mom and take care of the family. I needed that personally to be able to grow as a person. And I saw a lot of people doing volunteer work. My husband and I decided early on in our relationship that one of us would stay home and the other one would work full-time. And it's worked very well for us. So I was there with the 4 kids and raised them with his help, obviously. And then once my youngest started school, I had to find something else to do other than just stay at home and clean and cook and do the normal things that we all have to do. So I started here at the school, and that was not quite the beginning of it, but it was definitely a good start especially with kids, right? I love kids.
Okay, so we're building up a formula here.
We are.
A formula to success.
Yes.
First of all, like to work.
Yes.
Like to keep busy.
Yes, definitely.
Like to keep stimulated. And have the opportunity, of course.
Well, that's it. And if I had to have worked full time, well, then I would have only been able to have that job and take care of my family. I don't think I would have had enough energy to do anything outside of just that. But because we had decided this early on that, I would stay at home with them until they started school. And even once they were all in school, With 4 kids, there's always somebody sick or somebody needing this or that, bring them to appointments. So I was lucky enough to be able to stay at home and continue that. So this is where my volunteer really started to stem. When my 3rd daughter was born, I needed to get out of the house a bit more, so I decided to start doing baptism preps. They needed someone to do the baptism preparations. And at the time, it was an elderly lady that she was looking to pull back, and somebody else had to come forward. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to try this. And in doing that, I met a lot of interesting people, a lot of young families, where you're kind of in the same situations where, I have young kids, they are, beginning a family or have already had a family, and, there's still babies and young kids in there. So it was a good thing to, get to meet all these new people and help them in their faith, help them prepare for the baptism of their babies. And from then, you end up being friends with them. You see them when school starts. You see them, with their kids growing up. And now that I work here and have been for several years, I've gotten to see a lot of them grow up, which is, to me, it's nice because I got to see them when they were babies. And now.
My goodness, you're talking like an old lady.
Yeah, I'm not that old, but
No, you're
sometimes
not,
I
no.
feel old.
Well,
When you're
old and wise,
yes,
eh?
yes.
Yeah, you do acquire wisdom. You do. When people see you doing things like that, they're drawn to you because they want a little bit of your energy, they want a little bit of your knowledge, and they also get this feeling that, oh my goodness, look what she's doing. I can do it. I can do it. If I do like her, I can do it. What is she doing?
And it's funny because I always felt that when you see other people, you never tend to look back on yourself going, oh, am I doing enough? Or I didn't. Yeah. But then you'd see other people going, I want to do that, and I want to do this. And, I was lucky that, for the most part, I'm able to do that.
It probably has gotten to the point for you where it's very difficult to say no.
Yes, and
you knew what I was going to say before I said it.
I've really had to pull back this past year in particular, of pull back of certain volunteer things that I did, just because time limits you. Yeah. I used to be the president of the parent council here at the school. I did that for about 4 or 5 years. And I continued on this last year, but when the new school season started in September, I told them, you know what, I have to pull back. I can't do it anymore. So I'm still on the committee, but somebody else is in charge of all the activities and organizing it all. So that has helped tremendously, just pulling back a little bit and letting somebody else shine as well.
Of course.
And taking the...
If you don't try, you don't find out.
No,
so
exactly.
Everybody has to have the opportunity. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so you were very diplomatic a few moments ago when you mentioned why it was that you needed to get out of the house when you had young children. We didn't miss that. I'm going to be a little less politically correct and make the leap from, did you have to learn to be a good, patient mother in order to get into politics?
Yeah, definitely.
There's an analogy there, I think.
Yes, you're right. And you know what? Patience has never been one of my strongest virtues. I'm very we got to get it done, let's go. So I've really had to learn. And I think doing all of my volunteer work has helped me to be able to relax, be patient, to be able to move forward and get things done. Because as we know, politics is very slow moving at times where we want things done right away. And, there's still the politics behind it where you have to wait and go by a process. Yeah. And that part is probably the most difficult thing that I have trouble with, is going through the process, going through the proper channels to get things done. I'm used to, we need to get it done, let's go. Yeah. We get it done.
Yeah.
So.
And there's a reason for that process,
and
for
sure.
all of the laws and all of the...
Oh, and if we didn't have them, things could go awry very quickly. So
that's right. You need the checks and balances.
You do.
And actually, it's for some people. I mean, you study for years to learn public administration or finance or political science or all of those things. And you slowly prepare, but for you it was
a sudden jump.
It was a very steep learning curve.
It really was.
And you're still on it.
And I'm still on it, and I'm sure I will be for the next 3 years, learning on it. It really, my background was in recreation and leisure, so that's really what I studied in. To become a politician was never in the stars for me, or not in the stars. It was never in my.
It was never on
my
your
intention.
horizon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sometimes finding the words right. Yeah, it was never my intention to become a politician. I had people that came up to me because seeing all the volunteer work that I do and that I care and I want to see things done. They came to me and said, you know, you'd really be good. And if Monsieur Guy Desjardins had not have gone for mayor, I probably would never even thought, and I would never have been approached because he was already in the position, and everyone seemed to be satisfied with that. But because he left, there was an opening, and then, like I said, several people came up to see me, and you know, you'd be good at this. It took me a long time to decide whether to go that route. My husband was very instrumental in the process as well, thinking, you know, he told me straight out, you can do this, you'd be good at this. He supported me 100%.
So you're fitting into a tradition here, a kind of a pattern that I see of people who started out in life in a different direction, and because of their talents, which other people saw, which we don't always see, and it's so often the case, that they were drawn onto the path that then defined them, that was their contribution to society. Now, as children, we grow up, and our parents, if we're lucky enough, and our families will tell us, oh, you'd be so good at this, you'd be so good at that, and you never listen to them, of course.
No, that's true.
Okay? But later on in life, people are telling us things, and slowly we start to hear, and it starts to gel. Now, you have a special guide and a special source also, because of your faith. And it's very important, and I'm smiling, but it's not because I don't believe it, it's because I deeply believe it.
Yeah.
And I wish more people would listen.
Well, and you touched on it right there. You need to listen. You need to open your heart up and actually listen to what he's trying to tell you. Sometimes we want to control everything, and it's my way, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but really we don't have control. He's the one that tells us what we need to be doing or what we should be doing. You might start off on one path, but he'll still get you to go on the path, I believe, that he wants you to be on. And to become a politician, that's really what happened to me. You know, people come up and tell you stuff, and again, people had told me, yeah, you'd be good at it. And I'm like, yeah, you know, no, it's not for me, it's not for me. And I flat out said no a couple times. But going to, I go to a religious retreat every year for women only. And it was there that I prayed a lot. I prayed a lot to see, is this something I should be doing? Show me signs that this is what you want me to do. And there were clear signs, and now to recall exactly what it was, but in my mind, to me, they were clear. He was speaking directly to me. And again, I was open. I was awaiting. I had asked him, show me what you want me to do, what path you want me to do. Do I do this or do I do this? Because in my mind, I thought maybe I should do this, but really I wanted to work with kids, and that was really the path that I wanted to go on. And that's not where he led me.
No.
So I got home from that retreat, and I had a couple during the retreat, but when I got home, there were more, and it was clear to me, no, this is what you got to do. So that, I think it was on the Tuesday or Wednesday, I decided to put my name in the race and see. And if I didn't win, I didn't win, but at least I would have tried. And if you don't try, you know, you'll never know, right? And then you'll always wonder at the back of your mind, well, you know, should I have, should I not have? So I'm glad, to me, the Lord was very present, very instrumental in me even trying to do this job.
Well, it was a difficult time in our community. It was a difficult time in the municipality, and you could almost say that all of government, the whole world, is going through a difficult time. So when the people with the right minds and the right hearts come along, then they have to become part of it. And it is a tremendous sacrifice.
It really is, because, you know, again, why me? I don't have anything special to, I'm not a politician, I had nothing special, and it is a sacrifice. You're giving up your nights with your families, weekends for events and stuff like that, so it's a lot more work than what I originally thought it would be, but it is also a great learning experience, and I've learned a ton within this past year, and I'll continue to do so, I know. But yes, sacrifice is there, and people, you know, you get the phone calls from the constituents, and you know, you feel for them, because a lot of the times, you know, you want to do something, but again, you have to go through the proper chains, so it's a little bit slower. Sometimes you can't help them, and it's frustrating as a counselor that you can't always solve their problem.
Well, that's one of the very important points that Jean-Marc Lalonde had brought up in the interview. That's what he loves doing the most, is helping people. And it's not everybody who has discovered that part of themselves. And yet, is there anything more important than service?
No, exactly.
When you're in a community? Now, that's actually a very good point to stop on, because we have to take a break, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more about the life of a municipal councillor.
All right.
And hopefully not scare anybody away for all you good people out there who may have heard a little bit of the calling. We'll be right back. So we're back again. We're going to be talking to Madame Simard, municipal councillor now, about life as a politician when you're juggling children at home, dare I say, children in the constituency. Very often, those complaints must feel like children complaining. But other times you hear the need and the helplessness.
Yeah.
So you are in the right place at the right time.
I suppose. And you're right, you do hear. It's funny because where we live, most of the complaints are ditches, roads. It's never anything humongous where I can't help. Some people just severing off a piece of land, or taxes, and I really hate the taxes, because there's nothing I can do, right? For that, MPAC comes and evaluates your land, your house. They're the ones that decide. We just go with what they say. So I really have a hard time with being able to tell them, for a portion of it, why your taxes are so high. It's hard. It's difficult, and you do feel helpless in that situation, because, apart from us raising taxes, if we stay at the same thing, the taxes are still quite high. Yeah. And what can you do? You do want a lack of services, which a lot of times we don't even have. In the rural area, we have garbage, we have snow plowing and roads. But
none of us have water, none of us have sewers.
No sewers, no water. So really, it's true. They are right, and it's really hard, because you are right. I can't say that you're wrong. You're right, and I hear you. And sometimes that's all they need to hear is, I really truly understand. I want to make a difference, and hopefully I will be able to make a difference.
It's true, because very often, not only in politics but anywhere, if somebody pours their heart out to you or tells you about their problem, telling them, well, there's a reason for it and it's going to get better, just doesn't cut it.
No.
Because they're hurting right then, especially people, for instance, who can't pay their taxes, or whose homes are always dirty because of the dust from the road, or whose ditches are filled with all kinds of crap. Why should it be like that?
Well, that's exactly it. And I know we're all working towards, improving the services, because really we can improve on certain services. There's always, you're here, and there's always a way to get a little bit better.
One of the things that I learned when I was in university in the public administration program, actually I did that, was anyone who studied economics has learned it, is the opportunity cost. If you spend on one thing, you can't spend on something else. So you've got to prioritize somehow. And if people understand that we are all of a community, we are all working together, then it might be a little more understandable why right now we're not getting anything, but
eventually you will.
Eventually we will.
Exactly.
Once more money is made in some parts.
Well, that's it. Yeah. And basically, like I said, the complaints aren't, sometimes, yes, you get the odd person, or I pay my taxes and my roads aren't done, and they just want to vent, and for good reason, a lot of them. But yes, we're getting there, and roads are a priority in Clarence-Rockland, because it's not just in St. Pascal, it's not just in Hammond. There are roads in Rockland that need to be improved upon.
Yeah, of course, everywhere.
Yeah.
We're not like
No.
a rich community, a big community. We are a rural community with all the good and the bad that goes along with it. Do you find it very hard to deal with some people? Have there been any unpleasant experiences?
you know,
like above your pay grade.
yes, well, so, and that's where you ask someone from the administration or in the city hall to come out and help you. There's been instances where, especially infrastructure, where you know, you only know a certain amount. I didn't study in that, so I can't help them beyond my capacity. So I'll go and get somebody from City Hall to come out and meet with the constituent with me and be able to explain it. I've been very lucky. The constituents around in my ward have been very, very good. And for the most part, I've been able to help them. So no, I really have been lucky, because I hear of some of the other councillors and some of the complaints that they have. And sometimes you just, you know, you can't do anything about it, because you have to go with your budget. And that's a big thing too. We always say we have to go with our budget. So when it's budget time, we encourage people to actually come and listen to where we're putting the money, where we're cutting the money, so that they can, you know, voice their opinions as well. Because there is a period of time that they can do that, but people don't seem to know that.
Well, there are deficits everywhere, where whichever level of government you're looking at, municipal, provincial, federal, European community, no matter where you look at it, it seems like the whole world is wanting more than it can afford. Which takes us back to the issue of volunteering, which is why it's so important, because there is so much that a community, that a family, a community need to function. So you, in a way, are setting the example as a committed long-term volunteer, and probably there are ways that people could help out more, like what if everybody got together and dug out those ditches?
Well, that's exactly it. Actually, prime example is on the 30th of April, there's the environmental cleanup, right? So
that's a wonderful initiative.
It is.
Oh,
it's
great.
It's fantastic. And again, there you have to volunteer your time to go and do this stuff, and it helps the municipality out, because you know it's either you pay your within your taxes for somebody to do this work, or a team of people, or you know, volunteer. Everyone pitches in and helps out and does that. So there's certain examples like that which are fantastic when the community gets together and does something special like that.
It's also like some of the parks where the community gets together to put up play structures.
Yes. Well, which has happened here, because in the school in the backyard here, there's the structures for the kids, but it was volunteers, parents that raised money. You know, they went and got donations. So it's still, because it's in the school, it's also part of the municipality, the way our park here works. So half of it is the municipality that owns it, the other half is the school. So the town has put in money for like benches and garbages around here. I think they even gave a donation towards the play structure, but again, volunteers going out and getting businesses to help, and it took 2 years, I think, for us to get a nice big structure that everybody can.
But then everyone feels good about it.
Exactly.
And it can be done.
And it can be done. Well, yes. You know, we've got a volleyball court now that we can use. We have 2 play structures, swing sets. You know, there's a baseball field, basketball as well. You know, you need something for the kids to be able to go to, and not just kids really. The baseball it's an adult league that uses.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's an adult league that uses the field here. So, you know, it's great. If they didn't have, you know, this, they'd have to go somewhere else. So, you know, and every municipality tends to have that. I know Hammond has the tennis courts. Rockland does as well. But, you know, if you have something in every little village, well, you know, it's accessible to everybody.
That's true. It's not like we're that far apart from each other.
No, exactly. And you don't need to double up depending on what exactly it is. I say that ice rinks, we have one. Every municipality, I believe, has an outdoor rink, and that is something that I think every municipality needs, because there's a big need for it. But something.
Do you mean like every village?
Yeah, every
in
village.
Clarence
Sorry,
Rockland
yes,
has one?
sorry, I should have said that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like we have one, and again, it's 2 guys that they water it almost every night. They shovel it.
And these are volunteers?
To a certain extent. They are paid a little bit, but nothing huge, because, again, the hours that they put in to make that rink so nice, the municipality would have to pay on them way more. It doesn't even compare.
No.
The hours that they put in to the amount of money that they get.
It's always good when you go a little bit beyond.
Exactly. Well, and the 2 people that do it are hockey fanatics, and they care for their community, and that's what they've said. They said, you know, really, it's volunteer work what we're doing. We get paid a little bit, but we care that everybody can use this and it's a nice rink. And we were told this winter that we had the nicest rink. So out of all of Clarence Rockland, our rink was the best. But again, if you don't go above and beyond, you'll get what,
Yeah, you won't get there.
Yeah.
Now, I know that usually kids, the cause of kids is always a good way to draw people out.
For sure.
There's another one that I don't know if there's been any plans around it, but I know that a lot of people in the community are interested in the whole of city. You hear about these things through Facebook, of course, which is a great way for people to communicate, is community gardens. Has there been any talk about those?
Here in Saint Pascal, there had been talk about it. The only reason it hasn't gotten done is because during summer months, you need somebody to continue on taking care of it. And because we're in the rural section, everybody kind of has their own garden. So there hasn't been a huge interest in, apart from like at school, if the kids would start it and then they could learn from it and use it in their curriculum.
Right.
But during the summer months, there wasn't any interest to upkeep.
So that's how these things start. Somebody has an idea, they start talking, and then next thing you know,
well, that's it. It can happen.
The Rolling Stone, the what is it? The tumbleweed.
The tumbleweed.
Yeah. So getting back a little bit to your work as a municipal councillor, you meet, is it twice a month?
Well, within the council, for
council?
meetings, yes, we have twice a month. We have a regular and committee of the whole meeting. So it's basically 2 in 1 now, because the old way it functioned was you had 2 meetings a month. One meeting was a regular meeting. 2 weeks later, it was committee of the whole. Whereas now you have both in one meeting, and then the next time you have both. So basically it's 4 meetings in 1 month. The way we do it now. And then we all have to sit on boards or committees. Yeah. So I have the cultural committee, the library board, and daycare. I'm in charge of the daycare, or I'm the representative for daycare. Each one of us has a couple to take care of. So there's also those meetings on top of just the regular council meetings.
Okay, so it sounds to me like you have a lot of homework to do.
You do. There's a lot of reading and preparation, and because you have to be ready for that meeting. So, for example, we get our packages Wednesday night. So I've already started reading for my next meeting on Monday. The packages vary. So I remember a couple of weeks ago, it was like 800 pages to 900 pages that I had to read within.
What?
Yep. So within a couple of days, that's what you had to read. But then you have like the last meeting that we just had, it was pretty straightforward, pretty fast, and there wasn't a ton of reading to do. So it's very up and down depending on what's going on within the city.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but it's great, and again, you have other things to read for your other little committees. And yeah. So they keep us busy, and then we have appearances that we're expected or asked. Not everyone does. You do what you can. Appearances at the spaghetti. We have a spaghetti supper going on tomorrow night in Saint Pascal I'm not sure if you guys had heard about this, but there's someone in Bourget that fell down a silo 60 feet. So they're doing a fundraiser for this family to redo the house, basically, because now he's in a wheelchair. So you need to, So I'm doing this because I'm also in the Optimist Club and things like this for children. Your heart goes out to the family.
Of course.
But as a municipal councillor, you're also expected to go to certain events. I know there was La Francophonie not too long ago, so I went to that one as well. I try and do as much as I can. But again, with 4 kids and a husband, it has to balance out as well, and finding that balance.
Well, speaking of the 4 kids, are any of them inspired by what you're doing, or are they?
I hope so. I hope so. I look at my oldest, who's now 14, and she loves doing volunteer work as well. Tonight, for example, we're going to Café Joël, and my 2 oldest will be playing violin. They follow me everywhere I go, all my kids. Any opportunity I can have, even if I have an event that I have to be at, I try and bring them along as much as I can, depending on what the event is. So I hope I'm impacting them in that way, light, and showing them beyond yourself. Think beyond yourself and help out, volunteer, do as much as you can for others as you possibly can, to your limits.
I think that's a seed that's in every child. It's just such a natural thing. It's part of our makeup, part of our DNA, part of whatever our spirit. But it's not every child that's exposed to it that has the opportunity. So your kids are having, and of course they're influencing their friends.
Well, and again, yes. Well, the choir, for example, that I started with the kids.
Yes, the choir.
I started a choir about 3 years ago with the kids, and it started off with, I think, maybe 10, and it's grown. But my kids have gotten their friends to come sing, come do this. The Optimist Club, same thing. If there's an event, come help out. Well, the Kids Christmas, for example. Once they hit 12 years old, they're not allowed receiving the gift from Santa and participating in that form, but they're allowed volunteering. So I have this year I think I had between 15 and 20 volunteers, because they're no longer of age to participate, but they do want to volunteer and help out. And again, it's my kids that have gone out to, look, come and help, we're doing this, and it's good for them. It's good to show.
Well, yes, you're educating citizens
and
of the world.
New leaders.
Yeah,
new leaders. So
it doesn't have to be anything fancy or
No.
involved. You just have to get involved yourself.
exactly.
Wow. All right, so for the municipal council work that you do, of course, that's a huge responsibility. It's very structured. It goes according to rules and laws that are sometimes make sense, sometimes don't. But it's important to understand them.
Yes.
So did you have a course to teach you about all of these laws, or you're learning as you go along? A little bit of both?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Because when we first got elected, which was in October, the full month of, well, not the full month, but during November, we had sessions where they informed us of what was to happen, especially our role as a councillor. So we did get sessions like that. And then the rest is learn as you go.
Yeah.
So a lot of it, I think, is learn as you go. I don't think, you can know as much as you want, but until you're in that position, a lot of it is on hand training.
Well, if you weren't learning, then it wouldn't be any fun anyway.
No, exactly.
Well, it's an enormous amount of material to learn, and I suppose that with everybody who comes up with a question, there are issues that even the old timers don't know the answers to.
No, and a lot of the times they'll come back to us with an answer. And as you pointed out, as one counselor might ask a question, you think, oh, well, I didn't think of it in that sense or that way. And so you're learning as well, not just with the material that you're giving or the situations, but also from your coworkers, your other former counselors that are their former counselors. It helps. It really does, because a lot of the times someone will ask a question, I really don't know. But then, their point of view will come across as totally different than what you were originally.
It sounds like a council that works well together.
We really do. What? I'm really happy with the council that's there now. We are, we joke around. We are serious when it's time to be. And we all have opposing views at times, but everybody respects that view. And when we leave at night, it's done. We leave it there. And, the social gatherings, because we're invited to go to events and stuff, we see each other a lot. And certain times of the year more so than others, I find. December, and we saw each other a lot. November too, but then January was, you miss them because you don't. Yeah, I haven't seen them in 2 weeks. So it's another sort of family to me.
Yeah.
We're a good mix. Everybody has different qualifications. So we've got a teacher, we've got a police officer, we've got an engineer, we've got a human resource person. So everybody's background brings something to the table.
Yes.
And I think you need that. You need that mishmash of everybody's, not just personalities, but
well, you've got the strong personalities and you've got the talents, and as long as you're all working together in service towards a common good, then it's going to work.
Yeah, and so far I think the next 3 years will be a pleasant 3 years.
Oh, good. And then we're going to be interested in those door-to-door again.
Yes.
If we could only find a way around that. All right, so we're going to break now, and we're going to come back and talk about all of the other things that you do when you're not at the council table and at the children's table. And we'll be right back. So, we've covered your experience in politics, and really, there's only so much you can say about it. The rest of it you have to live. So
Yeah.
if anybody wants to try their hand at it, they should.
Oh, they should.
They should, because it is part of life. Much as people like to knock politicians, it is a part of life.
It is a part of life.
And in a democracy, which we're fortunate enough to have, it's the way things get done.
Mm-hmm.
I still have a vision of a day when we don't need to subject people to the torment of going door to door and sitting there and taking those phone calls in the middle of the night. I think that modern technology will bring us there, hopefully, where we don't have party lines and divisions where people have to fight each other just for the sake of fighting and taking a stand.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about the kids, right?
It is.
The
It is.
future.
The future.
The future. Having 4 kids, you're reminded of that every single day.
I am.
Now, so politics at the municipal level is probably the most interesting form of politics. But in terms of shaping a community, the children, the school. The school is something you've been involved with for years and years. You learn how to get things done, and you learn how to shape minds. Is there something in particular about your years working with the kids that stayed
Stands
with
out.
you?
Just the kids are so openly honest. They
Yeah.
give you what they think, no matter if it's going to hurt your feelings or not.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of an
Their
instance.
curiosity is
Their curiosity. They are,
boundless,
yeah. And excitement. They are so excited to learn, so excited for, everything, really. And I think teachers need to, a good teacher installs that excitement about reading. I'm going to read this book and I'm going in my imaginary world. And we had a teacher that was very good like that. And my kids, most of them had her. And she instilled that reading as much as I read at home and I encouraged them. She also gave a different perspective and would tell them, you're going on an imaginary trip and you get to read this book. And I think, there's a huge excitement within kids and for them to learn, I think you need to instill that,
You do.
in them, that excitement and
They do
and
follow
the
your
want.
example.
Yes, yes, they do. If you make it fun, it will be fun,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's a good way of learning. An instance where I've done that with them, I don't know if I could. Apart from, like I said, they see me all the time because I'm here at lunch, and then when I come to get them for choir practices, it's mostly here. They'll ask me daily, like, is it choir time? Is it choir time? So, apart from that, instilling excitement in them, I can't think of.
Well, kids have a wonderful imagination that hasn't been stilted yet. There's a whole world that they live that I guess we don't have time for when we grow up because we're so busy solving problems, right?
Yeah, yeah. Just them being open and honest. Though, a lot of kids just want to be heard, and just you listening to them tell you about their day or what happened. I played hockey last night, or I went on a trip, or I think that's important as well. We tend to be so busy in life that we don't take the time to listen to the younger generation, and you need to, because they're excited. And really, if we ignore them, what are they going to do later on? They're going to do the same thing, right?
And as they're telling us about their little happenings the day before, as inconsequential as they may be, they are communicating.
They are.
They're learning to talk. They're
Yeah.
learning to express themselves,
Yeah, definitely.
which is a terrible problem in our society where people cannot communicate and cannot engage. With others.
No, so...
You seem to know what I'm going to say before I say it. Is there a bubble over my head?
No. It's definitely important. There's, they're boundless, right? They learn so much. They're so inquisitive, and it's hard not to love being around children. I think they keep us young as well, with their curiosity and their open minds and their, just their way of being. The love for life.
The love for life, and it's such an easy thing to lose, or rather it's so easy to lose. It's not
Yes.
an easy thing.
No.
It's something that's so easy to lose as we look around and see all of the selfishness and cynicism, and we just, of course, kids have to be exposed to that because you can't keep them in a bubble.
In a bubble. No,
But-
you really can't. And you're right. As an adult, you tend to, depending on what your personality is like, you might see the negative more than the positive. But being around children, I think you do tend to see the positive more than the negative.
Yeah. And you want to protect that.
You do, and their innocence. They tend to lose that a lot earlier than when I was younger. I think I was innocent a lot longer.
Yes.
With the knowledge now, everything's so accessible to them. They seem to be learning quicker and quicker. But to keep that innocence in the children, I think is a good thing.
I think that it's more difficult to do these days because the popular media does not support that.
No, it
It's a very
doesn't.
frustrating thing. So when you sit in a library like this at this little country school, you're reminded of the way it used to be and the way it was so nice, where books and stories and
Yes.
fantasies and cynicism was not such an important thing, and being cool was not an
No,
important thing.
And the trust. I mean, they trusted a lot easier than nowadays, I think, because we're taught to be careful and don't do this and don't do that. And you know, I think the trust, you know, you used to trust so easily. You just trusted everybody. You don't see that as much anymore.
No. One of the wonderful things about our little community. Eh?
It really is. I love living in a small community like this where everyone knows everybody, everybody helps out and pitches in, and you're made to feel welcome. From, you know, I came from a small community as well, but it's not quite like this one. This one, really, you're accepted so easily. You want to do this? Great, come help us, and they'll, you know, and I hope to be able to, and I hope I'm actually doing that with others as well. Come join us, come help. Where there's not the little clickiness, and you know, you really want people to give back and do as much as you can.
So this is exactly what we're trying to achieve to get the best of society, is this inclusiveness. You talk about it with all of the immigrants and the refugees coming in and anybody moving to a new community to find a place, because at the end of the day, every single one of us has something to contribute.
Yep.
And you need the opportunity of open arms and open ears and open hearts to find out what it is. You've found out about talents you didn't know you had.
No, you're right. You know, and a lot of hidden talents that I never would have thought. You know, for instance, cake making. I would never have made cakes ever. My mom had taught us, you know, you make your cakes in the pan, you just ice it and decorate maybe with chocolate chips or something, and that was it. But on my husband's side, my mother-in-law always went to extravagant cakes, and so anyways, that was a talent that, again, it got me out of the house when I had young children, and I started taking courses and found out that I love making cakes. It's not something I would have ever thought I would have fallen into or even thought I had a talent for artistically, but, you know, hidden talents, right? And you do need a community that is open to, you know, helping you find those talents. My kids' choir, if the church hadn't have let me bring in the kids to do the, you know, the choir, have music, you know, where would it have gone? It just, you know, I wouldn't have developed that talent or the children's talents and brought them there. So I think you do need to.
And you picked the church because of the acoustics or because of the space?
That was more for my faith, actually. You know, because really around here, where else would I go and sing with the children? I don't know. I never thought of bringing them from place to place. I just thought it's a good beginning place. Where the church is always looking for singers. There's a lack of it.
And children.
And children. Again, a big lack in children as well. We're lucky that we do have someone who, actually my mother-in-law, who does the liturgy for kids. So we've been able to bring in kids from that. And then again, with the school and the choir, and, you know, me being able to be the link between the school and the church, I've been able to bring kids in. And you know, there's nothing like it when you're in church and you see all these kids participating. It's really nice to see. Again, they're becoming involved. They're becoming little leaders. So you're bringing up little talents in the little people
Yeah.
from the get-go.
And they're finding also a community of people with whom they can share something
Exactly.
important and meaningful.
And if you don't have an open community that'll let you, you know,
That let you try new things.
exactly.
Yes.
Thank you. I was looking for a better word, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
So thank you.
But that was the idea you were
Yes,
looking
that
at.
was the
Try
idea.
new things.
Yeah.
Let's try new things. Let's dare. Let's take a chance.
Yes.
Let's let ourselves be guided. It sounds like I'm writing a song here, but so you've gone through the school. You've gone through the church. You've progressed through these different stages of your life, well, no, I should start with a family because a strong family basis is very important to all of this.
I think so.
And now you're progressing. You're in municipal politics and you are going to learn the ropes here, and then there could be provincial politics, I suppose.
Possibly.
Or federal. Do like Jean-Marc Lalonde.
He's definitely someone to aspire to when you
He
know,
is.
He really
He
is.
and he's prepared to mentor people who have their hearts and minds in the right places.
That's it.
We have to take advantage of jewels like that in our community.
We really do. We really do. Can't take them for granted.
No.
There's a wealth of knowledge within these people, and yeah, you do need to grab onto that knowledge while you can.
Yeah, and follow their
example.
Their example, because obviously, as he put it so well in his interview, he doesn't take no for an answer, but he seldom says no either.
No, that's true. It is true.
There is always a way. There's always a way to do what we dream of, what we aspire to. That kind of message of hope is something that you can instill in your children and keep it alive, and you do it through example. So I guess you would encourage people to.
Yeah, lead by
obviously.
example.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the best things that you can teach your children is lead by example. They will do as you do. If you're volunteering, then chances are they will too. They'll go out of their way to help people if you help people. So definitely, follow your heart, of course, but definitely lead by example.
I guess you're not going to know for another 3 years whether you're willing to go
I
through
was
this
gonna
again.
say, I knew that question
Yeah.
prior to. No, and you know what? My kids all had a vote for this term. We sat down with the kids, and each one of them got a vote as to whether they agreed with me
Yeah.
doing this counselor thing, and we'll do the same process again in another 3 years. Everybody will get a vote, and we'll see how my health is, and again, where I'm meant to be at that point in time. So, there's no guarantees in life.
Well, with everything that you've contributed, anybody could say that you've done your part, but at the same time, I can imagine that you're going to feel like you've learned so much that you owe.
Yes. Oh, definitely. And I think that aspect of it, I don't even know how to say it. You want to give back as much as you can, whatever you've learned, give it back to
Yeah.
others,
Yeah.
so that they can grow. And then I want to continue to grow. I know I still have tons of things to learn in life.
Yes, and aren't you
So-
lucky that you're still young?
Yes. Although sometimes I don't feel so young. But
No, but that is the other aspect of it, that people in a position of responsibility and authority need to look after their health too. And I think health is a big thing, and I would love to see this community focus more on health.
yes, because you definitely need to find that balance between work and play and your health, and you have to find a balance and be centered in that balance.
Well, you may know the story of Jean Vanier and the L'Arche communities. No? Jean Vanier is the son of Governor General, one-time Governor General Vanier. And he was, I believe, an engineer and a ship's captain and high-ranking. And he was once docked in Marseille. And so many people know the story of the L'Arche communities. So many people may be, well, mostly francophones. And so he got off the ship for a day's leave, and there were two people sitting there leaning against the wall. And he walked past them, and in the evening he came back, and they were still in the same spot, and they hadn't moved. And he asked about them, and he said, are they drunk? Are they always there? I haven't seen them get up. Nobody's leaving money for them. And they said, no, they're always there. They're always there. And he went and he checked them out, and he found out that they were mentally handicapped people. And they were just sitting there because they had no place to go.
Oh.
And at that moment, there was a transformation, an epiphany in him, as he tells it. And he went and found a home for them. And that was how the L'Arche community started. And now, I don't know, there may be 40, 50 of them around the world.
Wow.
And Jean Vanier is still alive. And he gathers all of these people, adults, children, who have these mental handicaps. And when people ask him why, he says, oh, they're my love teachers.
Aha. See, we all need
We all need
Yes.
the love teachers, because everything is so easy to be logical and left brain about, but there's another dimension.
Well, that's it. You have to feel as well.
And in a community where we have a lot of needy people, every community in the world,
Yes.
where we're afraid of refugees, where we're afraid of who is different, there's a lesson to be learned.
There is.
So, Madame, they're large communities. And maybe you should sit around your table next time and talk about, all right, we're going to have a cake making school and we're going to bring in everybody. The sky's the limit for you, Krista.
The sky
I know
is the
it.
limit. Yep.
I know it. Your strength, your inspiration, and your devotion are just exemplary. And I'm just so grateful that we had a chance for this interview,
Well, thank you. Thank you.
because I know that this is a message that a lot of people need to hear. And besides, your kids are going to think you look real cool on TV.
That is true.
Because we all look better on TV.
Well, I'm hoping.
So, without keeping you any longer, I'm hoping that the next 3 years are going to be as exciting for you
Thank you.
as the past ones have been. And I promise not to call you in the middle of the night, no matter how complicated or how difficult the situation.
Oh.
Just about everything can wait till the next day.
That's right.
Thank you, Krista. All
Thank
the
you.
best. And you ever want another interview, a message, you just let us know.
All right. Well, thank you.
And as for you, dear listeners, I think that this might have been a course in public policy, it might have been a course in family policy, but maybe it was just a really nice story about a wonderful woman, and we are grateful that she's giving her time, and we want to give her our support. So I'll see you next week, and thank you very much.